Assalamualaikum everyone, welcome to Do Station with another video. I hope you are good, you are enjoying life and you are learning well. My efforts are helping you as well. So with that hope, I am here with another video. So basically we are covering our series on HSE ABC to XYZ with Dr. Do. Learn from the scratch in which we are understanding the HSE from the beginner level to the expert level in easiest manner. So we are. This is a second module series basically in which we are understanding the fundamental concepts in HSE. So today, new concepts or the more one very important one, key principles of the risk assessment. We will cover them. We will understand what are the key principles of the risk assessment to make it more effective. So obviously we will understand them briefly so we can make a good foundation and good understanding about the HSE risk assessment process. So in the next module, obviously we will cover them in details. We will learn how to practically conduct it. So it is very important to have the good foundation so you can effectively understand them. So this is the today's topic. Any suggestions, feedback you can share with me so I can include them as well. So let's move to the topic and start understanding. Welcome to presentation, everyone. We are covering the series on HSE ABC to XYZ with Dr. Dole. Learning from the scratch, basically, we are understanding the HSE from the beginner to expert level in an easy manner. So, the series currently we are covering our fundamental concepts in HSE, in which we already covered the key terminologies in HSE. So, today we will discuss a few more important concepts, fundamental concepts in HSE. It is the 11th part. So look into the introduction. Basically, we know that the fundamental concepts of HSE are very important or crucial for any practitioner to have a good understanding so he can implement his knowledge in the field more effectively, proactively, and he can play his role in the better way. So let's see which terminologies or fundamental concepts basically we are going to understand today. So today I have grouped basically the concepts related to the principles of effective risk assessment because risk assessment process is a very crucial one. So we are in this phase of the series we are covering the fundamental concepts. So I wanted to make some solid foundations for good understanding about the risk assessment. So here we will briefly understand the key principles that are involved in the process of the risk assessment so we can have a good understanding about the process, which will help us in the later module where we will understand the whole process of the risk assessment, how to implement it. So let's start. The basically the principles I have collected here, gathered here are identify the potential hazard is the first principle, then assessment of the risk, then evaluation of the risk, then next one is the implementation of the control. Basically identification and implementation of the control, then monitoring and review. The next principle is the communication and training we will cover today, and continuous improvement. So these are basically the key principles for an effective risk assessment process. So let's understand them one by one. So now the first phase, identify the potential hazards. Let's understand it. Recognizing this is in this phase, recognize the potential source of harm, including physical, chemical, biological, and ergonomic etc. So basically, in this phase, we identify all the potential sources of harm that may harm us during our job activities. So we identify all of them. They may be present at the location, or maybe they can be induced due to the different circumstances or conditions involving the uh, activity when we are performing them or executing them. So in this way, we identify them. So how we do that? Basically, we can do it physically by observing the work area, job activity, walkthroughs, surveys, inspection. So first hand look at the activity so we can get the idea about the hazard. Then we can use the employees' feedback or their experience or opinion. Obviously, they are performing the job. Those who have the good experience, they better know which circumstances or conditions can be harmful, which parts of the activity or equipment or machinery are hazardous. So they can be useful in identifying the hazard. Then review of the incident report, data monitoring we do. So we collect the data, incident reports, accident reports, near misses, ill health cases. So things like that, they can tell us why the incidents are happening, what are the causes. So basically, they can identify the sources of the hazard. Then the consultation with the experts, we can hire some consultant or get the services from some expert like engineers, HSE professionals, auditors, etc. So they can let us know related the activity because they have the expertise. Similarly, the sources of information from the industry like standards, safety manual books, or the chemical for the chemical we have safety data sheets. Similarly, we can use the different techniques or methods, tools we use, like JSA, job safety analysis, benchmarking with other organizations which are similar to us, and then has up and other. So they have different techniques, structured approaches we can adopt. So this way we in this way we identify all the potential hazards. Next principle of the risk assessment is assessment of the risk, or basically it is also called who might be harmed. So in this phase, we identify the potential targets of the hazards. Basically, they may be the individuals, workers, visitors, public, client, contractor, or maybe the environment, or maybe the equipment or property of the business. So we identify them. Then we look at the two factors of the hazard, which are likelihood and consequences. What is the likelihood the each hazard that it will be triggered? We assess him in the terms of low, medium, and high. Then same for the consequences, what will be the outcome if they trigger. So this way we assess the risk. So next principle is evaluation of the risk. Basically, we already have assessed the likelihood and consequences. So in this phase, we combine them to evaluate the risk. So basically, let's look at the key account. So in this phase, we categorize the risk, which is the we group the similar risk in one category, like operational risk, financial risk, or strategic risk. Basically, this is for at the organizational level when we are doing the comprehensive risk management. But for the risk assessment process, usually we categorize them as per the activities like work at heights, lifting hazard, then for the hot work hazard. So the as per their activities, basically on the in the risk assessment process at the small scale, we categorize them. Then once we have categorized them, then we score the risk like same way. And now we know that likelihood have the low, medium, high, or consequences same, low, medium, or high. Then we represent them with the numbers. We change low with the 1 or 2, medium with the 3, then high with the 4 or 5. Same for both likelihood and consequences. Then we multiply them with each other. So we get a number which is called basically the score of the risk or the level of the risk. So based on the score or the level that we get, we prioritize the risk now. In this phase, basically what we see that those with higher scores or higher levels, we call them critical risk, and we focus on them with priority. The next principle is identify and implementation of the suitable control measure. So let's first define what is a control measure. The actions taken to reduce or eliminate the likelihood and consequences of a risk are called control measures. So basically we know that risk has two factors, likelihood and consequences. To control it, either we control the likelihood or consequences. Sometimes we control both of them. So this way we control the risk. So for that, we have to develop the control measures and then we implement them. So hazard is controlled effectively. So how we make sure that our controls are suitable and sufficient? First of all, there is a hierarchy of control that tells us, give us the hierarchy that tells us about the most effective control to the least effective control. So we try to follow it. In the next video, we will look at the principles of the hierarchy of control, and in the later videos or in the module, we will cover this topic in the detail. So then we have to make sure that our controls are suitable. Suitable means they will effectively control the risk. Well, once we will apply it, the performance of the control will be good. Then sufficient basically concerned with the adequacy. If we implement the control, it should adequately reduce the level of the risk to the level that is accepted or required by us. So this is suitable and sufficient control. So the key accounts that we consider for identifying suitable control for our organization. So basically we compare or analyze the benefits of the control with the cost, effort, and time we are going to put for these controls. So this way we identify and implement the suitable control measures. So the next principle of the risk assessment is monitoring and review. This is basically the backbone of the HSE or the risk management process. So what is monitoring? Monitoring is basically the process of continuously tracking and evaluating the effectiveness of the control we have implemented. And what is the review? Basically, review is the process of analyzing the information we gather through the monitoring process. How it works basically? So when we implement the control measures, at the same time we set some indicators that will provide us continuously with the information related to the performance of the control measure. So this may be in the forms of checklists, maybe, or the if we are using some technical controls, so there will be the gadgets that will provide us data in maybe in the digital form. So this is some collection of the data is basically called the monitoring. So once sufficient data is collected, then we analyze this data to check or evaluate the performance, what is our desired performance and what we achieve. So this process is called basically the review process. So if we achieve the target or desired achievement, that's good. Otherwise, we just have to find the causes or root causes why we are unable to achieve the desired performance. Then we again replan, we make new action plan, new control measures, we improve our control measures, then we implement them, then we again start monitoring and again review. So this is a cycle that starts here. So this is called basically the review. And how can we make it more effective? So we can make our review process more effective. Basically, there are two types of the review process. Number one, scheduled one or situational. Scheduled one are basically those which are routine. So we set a frequency for the review of the risk assessment. That maybe after 6 months we decide. Every 6 months we will review, or maybe after 1 year. So as we should make the frequency high. So as much as we will review, so the more we will get more we will improve our risk assessment. Second, we review our risk assessment after any change. This is called situational. If some incident happens, or maybe the process change, equipment change, or maybe the work method statement change, or maybe there is some change in the structure of the organization, like some manager left or new came. So communicate him with all the related information of the risk assessment and embed input into the risk assessment. So we review them. So this process is called basically bulleting and review. So next principle of the risk assessment is communication and training. This is also very important one. And this phase starts when we were developing and implementing the control measure, because at the same time we had to communicate to all of the people and train them what we are doing and how it will work. So to make our controls effective and practicable, we had to communicate and train them about them at that phase. But after every review, we do it again. So that is why I put it here. So basically, what is communication and training? So in this phase, what we are doing in regard to the risk, what are the control measures we are implementing? It is very important to effectively communicate to all the stakeholders or the relevant person about what we are doing, so they know that what are we doing. And also, we need to train them how it will work, what is their roles and responsibilities in this regard, to make our efforts more effective and to achieve that desired performance. So that is why communication and training is very important. So how can we make it more effective? So number one, target the audience content wise. Obviously, so when we are developing the content or the information that we will share, we need to understand which audience we are going to address. For example, labor. So we cannot show the technical presentations like this to laborers or workers, because maybe they cannot understand that. For those people, some visual graphics, videos, simple videos, oral quizzes, or some games like thing or storytelling thing. So such things can work. But for the management people that belong to the management or engineers, manager or senior people or supervisor, so we can provide them with the training like presentation, technical presentation, in which we will can show them the data analysis techniques, role playing models, or the matrices, different type of case studies. We can discuss the case studies or lessons learned, technical things with them. So regulatory information with them. So this is very important. What is our audience? So accordingly, we have to prepare our content. So it will work. Then methods of effectiveness, to ensure that the effectiveness of the training is we achieve. So we must show that which method is more successful or feasible. Like it can be in-house, outdoor in forms of TBT, or maybe the third party for some specialized training. We need some organization or third party which are whose though are special in the special domain. So this is how it works. Then we can conduct the workshops or campaigns like posters, slogans. So this is basically called communication and training. Let's further understand this concept. So communication basically is the sharing the risk assessment related information to the anyone. Which type of information we can share? Any information related to risk assessment or risk. Then stakeholder engagement is also very important. Obviously, before we are going to conduct or during the process of the risk assessment, we have to engage with the people, stakeholders, relevant people. So this is also how we engage them by sharing the information. Then transparency is a very important factor. We should always be very clear, concise, and accurate when we are giving the information. No dummy information should be used because it will make our risk assessment process ineffective. So, what is training now? Training is basically the providing the knowledge, awareness, guidance, increasing the skills in the relatively safer environment. So, which trainings we can provide related to the risk assessment? Number one, risk awareness. We can educate the people about the risk, what are the risks, what can be the consequences. Then control measure. Then we have to educate them or train them how to effectively implement the control measures, how the control measures work effectively, and what is their roles, what are their roles and responsibilities in this regard. Then comes the risk assessment skill. This is very important. Basically, we have to train all of our workforce or individuals or the stakeholders. We need to improve their skills in identifying, assessing, and managing the risk effectively. So these are some training we can provide to the workers. So the next principle of the risk assessment is basically continuous improvement. So what is this? Basically, this is a process that makes our risk assessment more robust and more effective with the passage of time. So it is a basically continuous improvement is a proactive and ongoing process to identify, analyze, and implement the changes to improve our HSE performance, processes, and systems. Basically, it is a refining process that continuously assess and improve the effectiveness of our current control measures. So this start basically with the monitoring and review process. When we implemented the control measure, so we started to collect the data about their performance. Once the sufficient data is collected, then we review this data and analyze it. We analyze, we evaluate the performance, and we try to find the areas of improvement. So this is what we are doing. Basically, we are basically finding any gaps or areas of improvement, and we are adding new things so that the effectiveness of our in controls can be more effective. So as we review, so as we try to further improve it. So to make it more effective, we can take the feedback from the employees or end users who are in the better situation, who are basically dealing with the hazard directly. They can tell what is good, what is bad. Similarly, we can use different. First of all, we need to establish a cycle of review. Maybe every 6 months we should review our risk assessment, or maybe after 1 year. Then we should use more effective method like root cause analysis techniques. Like every time we are going to review, we should focus on the root causes. We should uncover the root causes by addressing them. We can improve the systems more effectively. Then we should use lesson learned exercises like the past incidents, maybe in our organization or maybe the other organization in the industry. So we can give the lesson learned exercises to everyone. What happened there? What went wrong, what was missing, and how we can avoid this in the future. Then benchmarking is a good technique we can use with the leaders of the industry, those organizations which are very high level of the standard. So we can benchmark our performance with their performance. So these are basically the this way we can continuously improve our performance, and these things are basically called continuous improvement. So we covered all the topics for today. Let's conclude them. The first principle of the risk assessment, identification of the hazard. We identify all the hazards. Then we assess the risk, who might be harmed in terms of likelihood and consequences. Then we evaluate the risk. We give the rating to the risk. Then we identify and implement suitable control measures. Then we start monitoring and reviewing these control measures so we can improve our performance. And then we have to communicate and train the people about the whatever the findings of the risk assessment so they can play their role effectively. Then there is a continuous improvement process that basically begins with the monitoring and review process. And if we keep monitoring and reviewing, so our system will continuously improve with the passage of time. So that was it for today. I hope my efforts are helping you guys. Thank you for your support and watching. If you have any suggestions, concerns, or any opinions, please share with me. So until the next video, stay safe and healthy. Until then, goodbye. Take care. Allah Hafiz.